So the first story of the day is about progressive candidate Andrew Gillum from Florida. As people know, he beat the establishment Democrat running against Ron DeSantis. It's a big race in Florida. And the big lie, I have to call it out. Like I said, I'm going to start on a positive note so people know who I am, understand I'm not a hater and whatnot. I'm a fan of Jimmy Dore. He's a progressive far-left analyst, and I really like him. He's one of my favorite news analysts. I think he's a great guy. I think he's very intelligent, very smart, very funny, very kind, very loving, good guy, not a mean person whatsoever, not a bad person whatsoever. Jimmy Dore is a good guy. I am a fan, so just hear me out because I'm sure we have mutual fans and even people on Twitter telling me, Anomaly, why are you being so mean? I'm not being mean. I'm a fan of the guy. I like the guy. I'm just catching him in a big lie, and either he wants to be a liar or he wants to be a truth teller. So the big lie is him and Bernie Sanders. Well, Bernie Sanders lies all the time. Everybody knows that, even Jimmy Dore supporters. But the big lie is Jimmy Dore put up a video. He said, progressive wins Florida government primary. Corporate Democrats angry. So Jimmy Dore is telling his audience of millions of people that the corporate Democrats are shaking in their boots from Andrew Gillum. He's the progressive, you know, not the Democrat, the progressive. We're the insurgent party. We're going to make America better. We're not the Democrats. We're not corrupt. We're not evil. We're not bought out and sold out to politicians. He's a progressive. So that's what Jimmy Dore is telling his audience. While I love Jimmy Dore, this is the biggest lie of the week. It's a massive, massive lie, and nothing could be further than the truth when it comes to Andrew Gillum. The truth is, Andrew Gillum has according to his own, speakings, has a 15-year relationship with George Soros and received $250,000 from George Soros. And let me, explain myself here. So I don't get sued, and also so I don't get called a hater or negative.
You don't support Donald Trump.
I am a patriot.
Something just came out that said that George Soros just donated $250,000 to your campaign.
He contributed to us.
You accepted that campaign?
I do. Let me tell you about George Soros and what he funds, because I've got a 15-year relationship with him.
That George Soros just donated $250,000 to your campaign.
He contributed to us.
You accepted that campaign?
I do. Let me tell you about George Soros and what he funds, because I've got a 15-year relationship with him.
I'm not hating on George Soros. There's nothing wrong with having a 15-year relationship with the guy. I've heard he's a great guy. There's nothing wrong with taking $250,000 from George Soros. If that's what you want to do, I'm not knocking it. But what I am telling you is George Soros is the one of the biggest global manipulators in the world. He's, according to his own reports and many reports, manipulated multiple economies. He recently put $18 billion with a B, $billion into Open Society Foundation, and he's been, basically run out of multiple countries, Hungary, Israel, Russia. A lot of countries, they lobby against him and don't want his agencies there because he's a global player. What he does, even under his own accordance, I'm sure, he goes to other countries and tries to influence their politics. In the UK, the UK voted for Brexit. Brexit was the UK's Trump. It was sticking it to the establishment, saying, we don't want this establishment. We want to separate. Brexit was the UK's Trump. George Soros, according to many reports, and probably his own admittings, once again, is trying to overturn Brexit. George Soros is trying to overturn Brexit. He's trying to overturn the Trump presidency. Jimmy Dore would tell you Washington Post is fake, democracy dies in darkness. But then Jimmy Dore will tell you Andrew Gillum is an outsider who the Democrats are so scared of. George Soros is democracy dies in darkness. George Soros is the resistance, the fake resistance. George Soros is one of the biggest resistance players worldwide, not just in the United States, literally in all parts of the world. There might be no one who influences politics more establishment than George Soros. So while I think Jimmy Dore is a nice guy, I think he's a great guy, I think he does great reporting on Russiagate, I think he does great reporting against Democrats, I find his policies incredibly fake, naive, and misleading, and I can prove that with my next segment, but I still will shower him in compliments because I'm not a hater. This is not out of ego. This is not out of fear. I'm just letting progressives know, as I've told you, if you watch me and him combined, progressive far left leaders are going to lead you to the slaughter. I warned you this for 3 months now, and people said, Anomaly, why are you saying that? This is why. I already know it's going to happen. And this is what's happening. You have Jimmy Dore telling his audience that someone that has a 15-year relationship with George Soros and is getting $250,000 from George Soros, he's lying. It is a lie that corporate Democrats are afraid of Andrew Gillum. Corporate Democrats love Andrew Gillum. There's nobody more corporate Democrat than George Soros. Hillary Clinton, we found out through media. Sorry, someone called in. Hillary Clinton, we found out through media reports, basically, bought out the DNC in many ways because they had a lot of debt and she was helping pay for their debt. George Soros helped fund Hillary Clinton because he doesn't like Donald Trump. He wanted her to win. So it's like George Soros is the establishment Democrats. There might be no one more establishment Democrats. The Democrats are actively and openly supporting Andrew Gillum. Bernie Sanders is supporting Andrew Gillum, but it's just, I don't know any other nicer way to put it. People say, Anomaly, we got to work together, left and right, left and right. For sure. I don't know. I could lie to you and tell you, yeah, he's a progressive. He's going to put all these far left policies and it's going to be so much better than the Democrats and he's not a sellout. But it's just not true. He's literally in the pockets of the biggest global manipulator maybe we've seen in the 21st century. That's debatable, of course. That's more opinion than rooted in fact. But I'm just, covering my ends because I know that they're lawyer happy and they like to sue people anytime somebody says something that they don't want to hear. So I'm just letting people know, if you want to be the sheep led to the slaughter, you can follow fake progressive leaders who will tell you, these are the anti-establishment Democrats. But like I've warned people for a year, and I do this out of love and kindness, progressive socialist leaders are the wolves in sheep's clothing. Progressive socialist leaders are half woke. They'll tell you the truth about Russiagate. They'll tell you the truth about anti-war. They'll tell you the truth about Democrat, but they're useful idiots. They will tell you half-truths. They will be half-baked intellectuals. And then when push comes to shove, when it's the corner pivotal moment for your freedom and your safety and American freedom, they will lead you down the wrong path at the fork in the road and lead you to the slaughter metaphorically and possibly one day literally. So this is my final warning, because in other countries, if I lived in South Africa, as I'll tell you later, if I said this, I would be targeted for murder. If I said this in the UK or in Germany, I could potentially be arrested. They could raid my house or fine me because freedom of speech does not exist in most parts of Europe. Freedom of speech does not exist in Africa. Freedom of speech does not exist in most parts of Middle East. The United States is one of the very few places where you could still speak your mind and not get murdered, arrested, or fined. So I'm telling you this before Jimmy Dore leads you down the path that will get you murdered, fined, or arrested for a social media post or for an uncomfortable truth that people aren't ready to hear yet. So I can debate all day about far leftist policies and why universal health care might not be as great as Jimmy Dore thinks it is, but I'm not here to debate the far left policies. We'll leave that for a different live stream. I'm here to tell you with full conviction and full honesty, no matter who you love, if you love Jimmy Dore much more than me, that's fine. He's great. He's a legend. Very honest, nice guy. I would never say other, but he is lying to your face when he tells you that Andrew Gillum is making corporate Democrats shake. Nothing could be further than the truth. Nothing could be further than reality. Nothing can be further than your best interests and what's best for you and your family and the history or the future of this country, Nothing could be further from the truth, and they're going to continue to lead you down this direction because their whole ideology is rooted in identity politics, race, religion, gender, and these far left ideas that have literally never successfully worked anywhere in the world. I'm going to tell you in my next segment. They'll say it's working in Denmark, it's working in UK, it's working in Sweden, it's working in Japan. Nothing could be further than the truth. That's my whole next segment. But the entire planet is getting destabilized. All these beautiful places that you think are so amazing are literally going to be turned into nothing within 10, 15, 20 years if this delusion continues. So like I said, I'm going to save most of it for my next segment, but I am not hating. There's no ego. There's no negativity here. I am challenging good progressive left-leaning analysts to reconsider the information they're putting out, because when you have a big influence, such as I have and such as Jimmy Dore has or Bernie Sanders has, you need to have your ideas challenged, because if you stick in an echo chamber and you're misleading millions of people unknowingly, then what's the deal? So this is my challenge to Jimmy Dore and to progressive leaders. There's multiple options. One, you didn't know that Andrew Gillum was getting $250,000 from George Soros and you made a mistake. That's fine. Two, you do know that and you don't care about it. You think maybe it's not that big of a deal, or you think that George Soros isn't the resistance, which he is. I mean, he is. Democracy dies in darkness. He is overturning Brexit. He is destabilizing Europe. He is lobbying to bring all these people to these countries, which is literally crushing their socialism. You love socialism so much. It's failing in all these countries that they reference because of global players like George Soros, who are lobbying to bring, hundreds of thousands of people who will tank the welfare state and socialist capitalist economy that they have. They're all tanking because of people like that. So you're literally leading people to the slaughter. You're trying to overturn the free market. You're trying to raise taxes. You're trying to put in this big welfare, universal healthcare state, and then you're telling people that are being funded by the biggest global players, which tank those societies that you claim are so great. You're telling them that they're making the corporate people so angry. They're shaking in their boots with Andrew Gillum. No, they're funding Andrew Gillum. They're supporting Andrew Gillum. They're promoting Andrew Gillum. They are praying that Andrew Gillum wins because he is the wolf in sheep's clothing, just as these people are, either knowingly or unknowingly, that are leading people to their own demise, metaphorically, physically, spiritually, societally. And you will find out in due time if you don't consider what I'm saying and act now. So once again, just to wrap it up, Andrew Gillum not making corporate Democrats angry. One of the biggest lies I've ever heard. Either tell the truth about it or lie to people. It's up to you, but I know that these are good people, so I'm hoping that they'll see the light, similar to like an H.A. Goodman or myself or others, and not lead millions of people who love you and trust you down a path of pure deceit and destruction. And once again, I'm willing to debate. I'm willing to have a conversation.